Hello, my friends, my speaking champions, and wherever you are out there, I hope you're having a great day or a great evening. And apologies for my voice. You may notice it may sound a little bit husky. However, I'm all about giving value. So I'm going to give you value even though my voice sounds a bit husky. So, as you know, I'm sharing with you my principles on how you can walk away from your job and find your purpose. How you can do what you truly love. So we are now up to principle 3. Living on purpose. Principle 3, which is have a burning desire. Now, these principles I share with you, you're welcome to put them in any order you want. The order I list them, it's up to you. You may want to have the principles I speak about in a different order to what I have. So I'm going to share it with you, and it's up to you. What principle you want to take in, what principle you don't want to take in. So, just to recap. Principle 1. That was about identifying your gift and living in it. That was the first principle. Now the second principle was knowing your self-worth. Now the third principle I'm talking about is having a burning desire. Now, you may say, what's principle 3? Maybe principle 1. Like, you need to have a burning desire first. So it's entirely up to you which principle you want to make 1, 2, 3. However, that's the third principle. Have a burning desire. Principle 2, know your worth. Principle 1 is identify your gift and live in your gift. So, now what's principle 3 about? Have a burning desire. Now I've learned in life, and there was a beautiful line I heard. When someone loses motivation, going after their dreams, I heard someone once say, it's because the reasons for not doing it become greater than the reasons for doing it. So, how do you overcome that? You've got to have a burning desire. Because when you don't have something driving you, when you don't have something powerful internally pushing you, you are going to find that the reasons for not doing it become so much greater than the reasons for doing it. So, have a burning desire. Have something so powerful within you that will motivate you, that will push you. Hey, Anshu, how are you going? So, how do you have this burning desire? So what I want to do is I want to share with you a story. And I think it's a beautiful story. Now, once upon a time, there was this young guy. And he came across this monk that was sitting next to a river. And this young guy, he said to the monk, he said, "Master, please take me as your disciple. I want to find God and I want to be rich." And so the master said to the young fellow, he said, "You want to be rich and you want to find God." He said, "What I will teach you," he said, "you've got to understand something. Religion is a label. However, being spiritual is energy. It's the highest form of consciousness. When you strive to connect with God, you are striving to evolve your mind to the highest consciousness possible." So, he said to the young man, he said, "If you wish to find God, I suggest you find God I suggest you focus on something greater than money. So the young guy, he was a little bit surprised. And the monk, the wise old monk, he grabbed him. And he put him in the river. And he kept him in the water until he was about to pass out. And just as he was about to pass out, he pulled this young guy out of the water. And the monk said to him, he said, I'm just curious, what is it you wanted more than anything? And the young guy said to him, he said, I wanted to breathe more than anything. He said, did you notice? I kept you in the water for as long as I could. And until you were ready, I pulled you out. Because I wanted to see what you wanted more than anything. And you told me you wanted to breathe. And he said to the young guy, he said, you come to me seeking God. You come to me seeking riches. And he said to him, when you want to find God as bad as you want to breathe, then you will find God. And he also said to him, he said, when you want to serve people, do right by people. Never do wrong by people. Do right by people. Because I swear, people, we need to serve. We need to help people, not look at people as a money object. Strive to serve. And the monk said it so beautifully. He said, only when you can learn to want to serve people from your heart, as bad as you want to breathe, as bad as you want to find God, he said, then you will truly find riches. And he said to the young guy, he said, money is a byproduct of service. Service is a byproduct of love. He said to the young guy, he said, do you have love and service in your heart? And the young guy thought about it. And he said, no. And the monk said, only when you have love and service, as bad as you wanted to breathe, he said, then you will see what rich is. And he said, please never confuse riches with money. He said, riches is 7 areas. He said, money isn't everything. If you want to be rich, you got to serve. And only when you serve will you truly be rich. And so the young guy, he walked away and he was amazed by what the monk told him. And I share this story with you because I ask you this very question. What's your burning desire? Is it service? Is it love? Are you a messenger of truth? What do you stand for? What will keep you moving in your darkest times? Because that story is a beautiful story because it teaches a message. It teaches you that if you have motivation and it's outside of yourself, you are going to be driven by push motivation. That's external motivation, which means you need an external event to push you towards your success. That's not internal motivation. So, push motivation, that isn't what you want. You want pull motivation. Because when you're pulled to something, you're driven internally by something. You have a reason bigger than yourself, bigger than money, to push yourself. You may be noticing that my voice is husky, and I could have had every reason to say, no, I'm not going to do this video today. However, I'm pulled. I've got pull motivation pushing me. I don't need a reason to do this. My reason is internal, which means I don't need an external event to push me to serve, because I've built that within. So, what is your burning desire, I ask you? What is something internal? Never external. What is internal motivation within you that will push you towards your dreams. Because I assure you, when you have that internal motivation, when you have that power, you can achieve anything. And it doesn't matter how many times life knocks you down. You have a reason to get up. You have a drive to keep going. I want to share one other story with you. And this was a friend that I've known for a long time. And he told me about having a burning desire. He told me a story. And one day I was talking to him. And to be honest, it might tear me up, it might not. However, his story was beautiful. And if you see tears, this is another thing I want to share. We push masculinity in this world, believing a man must never cry. It's weak. Let me share something. It isn't weak for a man to cry. It takes strength to show your emotions. Because in this world, in society, they try to get you to be what they want you to be. When you show your emotions, when you show who you are, that's true strength. And not everyone has that. So, to the men out there that think it's weak to show emotions, let me tell you something. If I tear up, I don't care. It isn't weak to cry. It's strength to show emotions. So, let me share with you this story. So, this was a good friend of mine. And I was having a chat to him. And he said to me, he said, Chris, he said, I've got dreams, Chris. He said, I haven't had it easy. He said, there's been many times I wanted to give up. There's been many times I cried myself to sleep. Hey, Suma, how are you? There's been many times where I wanted to give up. And I asked him, I said, why? I said, why did you put yourself through all that pressure, all that pain? Why did you keep going? And I want to share with you where this guy came from. He came from a home, a life, where he didn't have, you could say, a broken mother and father. Like, he didn't have parents that had fallen over. They showed him love. So he had love. However, he told me, he said, Chris, he said, I was fighting my battle. And I asked him, I said, well, what did you have to endure? And he said, I battled with depression for a long time. He said, I had anger and hate live in me for a very long time. And he said, I wanted to hurt people, Chris. He said, I wanted to take lives. And he said to me, he said, as a result, I nearly wrecked my life. And he said, I remember one time I was in the psychologist's office and my mom was bawling her eyes out. And I felt so ashamed. And I wanted to knock out my psychologist because I just had so much hate and anger in me. And he said, I went through life. He said, I was single for a long time. It played on my heart. And he also said he got bullied a lot. He said, I wasn't a big kid, Chris. He said, I got put down a lot. I doubted myself. I didn't believe in myself. And he thought he was worthless. He thought he was nothing. And then he told me, after he finished high school, he wanted to join the army. And I said, why? Why did you want to join the army? He said, I wanted to kill people, Chris. He said, I was hurting so much. I just wanted to put a gun to my head in the process and end it. And luckily he didn't get into the army. And he told me he was ready to end it all. And then he said, a good mate of him gave him encouragement, gave him strength to keep going through those dark times. And so he kept going. And then he told me, he said, Chris, he said, I found my angel. I found my wife. She saved me. But then he said, the hardest thing was the next thing that happened. He told me he went through tough times in his marriage. He said he went broke not once but twice. He said he had to sell the house because he was nearly ended up homeless, living on the streets. And he said that wasn't the bit that hurt the most. He said he sold the house. And then he told me, he said, you know what, Chris? He said, it hurt, man. He said, I had friends that I trusted, friends that I thought had my back. And he said, they ripped me off a lot of money. And this guy, he's got a beautiful heart. He wants to help people. He's using his pain to help others. And he said, you know, I had friends rip me off. And then I had business mentors that were meant to help me, didn't get me anywhere, Chris. And he said he was in jobs that were trying to fire him. And he said it got to the point where he looked once at his wife. And he said, I saw the pain in her eyes, Chris. And I said, why is this happening to me? Why? What have I done wrong? And he said to me, he said, Chris, I'm not trying to rob no one. I'm not trying to steal from no one. I'm not trying to take lives. And then he said to me, he said, Chris, he said, I looked one more time for a business mentor. And he said, it was hard for me, Chris. He said, I've been ripped off, I've been let down, I've been lied to. And he said, I nearly ended up homeless as a result. And nothing hurt more than seeing the pain in my wife's eyes. And he said, I had to take one more chance. And so he found a business mentor. And he told me he wrote a letter to himself, a 90-year-old letter. And he said, Chris, that was the toughest time of my life. And I had to say I was proud of myself. And he said things that really hit my heart. He said, he wrote in this letter, there was times where he was hurting so much. There was times where it broke his heart. Why all this had to happen to him. And he said there was times there was tears coming out of his eyes non-stop. And his heart was crying. And he thought he couldn't trust anyone. And he wanted to give up. And I asked him, I said, that's a beautiful story, man. I said, you bring tears to my eyes. And I asked him, I said, what's your burning desire? I said, what got you through that? Because that's one hell of a journey, my brother. And he said, Chris, he said, I learned something in life. And he said he had a message. And he wants me to share this message with you. He said, Chris, I learned in life, it isn't external things that will give you that desire. He said, looking for material things, he said, that won't bring you happiness. And he said a beautiful line to me. He said, Chris, he said, it's not what in your wallet, it's never what's in your wallet that matters. And he said, Chris, I was all about the money. I thought that's what will give me happiness. And he said to me, he said, Chris, it's what is in your heart that matters the most. He said to me, he said, Words are just words. However, the energy we give the words is what gives its meaning. And then he said to me, he said, Chris, he said, every time we speak, we send a message. And then he said to me, he said, Chris, he said, tell people you are that message. And tell them it's never what's in your wallet that matters. It's what's in your heart that matters the most. And words are just words. And it's when you give it meaning that words have power. And he said, love is just a word. And he said, when you put emotion to it, when you give it meaning, that's when you give it power. And so he showed me something. He said that's the burning desire. He said, however, you want to know what my burning desire is? He said, I'll never forget it, Chris. He said, I had mates that killed themselves. He said, I've seen a lot of pain through my eyes, Chris. And he said, nothing hurt me more than seeing the pain in my wife's eyes. However, my next video I'm gonna do, that's gonna be a story for that. That's gonna be a story for Principle 4, which is having a powerful why. And he wanted me to share that story with you in the next video. So what am I saying about burning desire? Have something greater than what's in your wallet. Have something in your heart. Have something internally motivating that will push you. Because I assure you, when you have a burning desire, you will have everything you need to get through the tough times. Have a bigger reason than yourself. Have something motivating internally. And then once you have this burning desire, you will be able to get through any hits of life. Now, I will show you how to back up that burning desire. The next video I do, I'm gonna really show you the power. How to really amplify that power of having a burning desire. Now, you may say to me, Chris, that guy is awesome. However, what he's had to go through, man, I don't think I've got the heart. Let me share something with you. Every single person has a power within them. Every single person has strength within them. Every single person is a warrior. Everyone has that power. Now you can say to me, nah, Chris, I don't. Let me assure you, you do. You have the power. Everyone has the power within them. And you've just got to look within yourself. And the reason I say that, why I know this guy very well, and why I say every single person has that power within them. If you want to meet that guy, then let me share something with you. That very guy I'm talking about was me. And that's my story. And I stand in front of you telling you, you have the power. If you have that burning desire, you've got the heart. So, what is your burning desire? I would love to hear what your burning desire is. And if anybody of you need help with what is my burning desire, I will help you. And please share this video with anybody that needs it. There's so many people out there hurting. So many people are fighting battles we don't know. They just need a little help. So if you can share this video, share it with people who need it, I'll be so grateful. You are all champions, and you all have the power to change this world. Namaste.